Imagine being told your whole life, you're special. And then one morning you face someone who doesn't care how much money you have. The Providence courtroom wakes like a careful machine, paper whispering, a bailiff's shoes tapping, the low breath of the air vent. Judge Caprio works through the stack, parking slips, red lights, the small gravity of ordinary mistakes, when the doors swing and cool air follows a young woman in a tailored suit. Phone in hand. Chin lifted. A lawyer glides at her shoulder like a shadow trained to bill by the minute. Name, the clerk asks. Emma Dalton, she says, without looking up. Heads tilt. Dalton, as in Dalton Group, cranes on the skyline, donations on plaques. 3 unpaid school zone speedings. Routine on paper. Not in the way she holds her smirk. Caprio studies her file, then her face. Ms. Dalton, do you know why you're here? I assume because someone forgot to clear a system, she answers, rolling her eyes. Don't worry, my counsel can handle this faster than you can finish the docket. A thin laugh schemes the benches, then dies when the judge doesn't share it. Sit, Ms. Dalton, Caprio says, voice even as a level. Today is not merely about payment. Today is about listening. Her lawyer opens his mouth, she raises a finger, shushing him with entitlement that echoes. Caprio turns a page. One citation includes a note, road crew present. A worker suffered a minor injury when you passed the cones. He looks up. Do you remember that? She exhales through a smile. It was ages ago. He stepped out. Not my fault. The room chills. Someone whispers, did she just say that? The bailiff's hand moves to the rail. Caprio closes the file halfway, voice dropping to a near-confidential calm. Sometimes what we call a fluke is in fact a test of who we are. Her mouth tightens, but the phone still rests on her palm like a guarantee. The lawyer leans in with a whisper, escape routes, procedural fences, all the usual scaffolding money buys. Ms. Dalton, Caprio continues, do you believe the law exempts you? I believe I have representation, she counters. Which means we're done when he says we're done. Not in this room, Caprio says. In this room, we finish when the truth is finished. A few seats back, an older man, city jacket, hands rough, shifts with a sound like gravel. The clerk stops typing. Even the fluorescent hum seems to wait. Caprio nods toward the exhibits. Children cross those streets. Workers set cones because we asked them to keep us safe. Your record shows you drove through that promise 3 times. Emma tilts her head, a practiced pose for profile photos. Are we negotiating or moralizing? We're measuring, he answers. Not your purse. Your care for strangers. She presses her lips together, the first slip in a smooth surface. The phone screen goes black. Her lawyer sighs. Caprio sets the folder flat. You will answer for the citations. And you will hear the weight of what they mean. If you listen well, you may leave lighter than you came. Silence gathers, not hostile, not kind, simply attentive. Money has filled many rooms for Emma Dalton. This one refuses. Where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Have you ever met someone who has everything, except a boundary? Caprio doesn't raise his voice. What do you do, Ms. Dalton? She shrugs, elegance practiced. I'm, between things. I used to be a student. Now I oversee our family foundation, events, donations, PR. The uplifting stuff. He nods, eyes on the file. There's also a photo here. Your car in a disabled bay. Placard not displayed. She lets out a small laugh that lands wrong. It was a minute. I didn't take anyone's legs. The room cools. A man in the back mutters, someone took mine, and then swallows the rest. Caprio's gaze lifts, steady. Do you know how many people in this city lost the use of their legs while making it safer for others? Her smile thins. The phone lowers to the table. "Tell me about your life," he says, not unkindly. She hesitates, then slips into a tone she uses at galas. "My father built Dalton Group from nothing. We support libraries, clinics, scholarships. If there's a disaster, we're on the donor wall. And if there's a ticket..." Her jaw shifts. "My family fixes things. It's efficient." He leans back. "When was the last time you stood in a line, Ms. Dalton?" She searches for humor and can't find it. "I don't remember." "Exactly," Caprio says. "That's how you arrived here." He turns a page. City records show previous citations, waived at the request of concerned civic partners. The note says, "No scandal, please." A ripple moves through the benches. Her lawyer half rises. Caprio's hand stops him without looking. "I addressed Ms. Dalton. She can speak for herself." Perhaps for the first time. Color climbs her neck. "Those were administrative decisions. I didn't ask for special treatment." "Favor rarely requires a request," he replies. "It recognizes a last name." For a flicker, the armor slips. You can see what it hides: a young woman raised in a house with more staff than friends, where doors opened without effort and apologies were outsourced. He softens a fraction. "You run a foundation. That means you know the language of need. You write checks for it. But need is also a voice you're not used to hearing, especially when it says no to you." Her eyes shine, not from tears, but from the shock of being fully seen. "Are you here to punish me," she asks quietly, "or to embarrass me?" "Neither," Caprio says. "I'm here to make sure you don't leave this room the same person who walked in." He closes the file, palms flat. "Your city has been bowing to your family for years. Today, it stands up straight." The lawyer sits back, beaten without a blow. Emma turns her phone over so the screen faces down, as if dimming a spotlight she once believed was sunlight. The gallery doesn't gloat, it watches a conversion attempt in real time, uncertain if it will take. "Now," Caprio says, voice like a level placed on a beam, "we'll continue, with you, not your surname." Sometimes the loudest thing in a courtroom isn't what's said, it's what someone is terrified to admit. Caprio flips a page and pauses. His brow furrows slightly. "Ms. Dalton, there's a letter here, signed by Thomas Dalton Sr., your father. It requests the dismissal of your previous offenses, at the doctor's request." He looks up. "Is your father ill?" Her chin lifts like a reflex. "That's personal." "Everything about who we become is personal," Caprio replies evenly. "Especially what we try to hide." The courtroom stills. Even her lawyer looks at her, sensing a fracture in the perfect stone facade. After a long breath, she says quietly, "He had a stroke. 6 months ago." Caprio nods once, not probing, just present. "And since then?" "I've been managing things." She laughs without humor. "He built a world where the rules bent around him. Now he can't even hold a spoon." Her voice trembles on the last word. Someone had to fill the silence. Caprio studies her face, smeared makeup at the corner of an eye she doesn't bother to fix. "So you took his place." She shrugs, but it's not arrogance now, it's armor. "Someone had to show everyone we're still strong." "Strength," Caprio says softly, "isn't pretending nothing can touch you. It's allowing something to." Her lawyer shifts uncomfortably, sensing the direction. Emma keeps staring ahead, jaw set. Caprio's tone drops lower. "Your record shows your first ticket was forgiven, paid privately by your father, no official record kept. That was the day you learned you could drive through consequences." Her eyes flash, defensive. "He didn't want my name in the papers. He protected me." "No," Caprio says gently. "He protected the illusion of perfection. And now you're protecting the illusion of him." For the first time, she's speechless. The tension leaves her shoulders like air escaping a balloon. After a moment, she whispers, "He'd be ashamed of this. Of me." Caprio folds his hands. "Perhaps. But not for being here. For not listening sooner." The silence that follows feels different now, less courtroom, more confessional. A man coughs softly, somewhere, a pen clicks, then stops. Caprio leans forward. "Ms. Dalton, you've spent years surrounded by people paid to say, yes. When was the last time someone said, no, and meant it?" She hesitates, eyes glistening. "My father," she says finally. "Before the stroke." "And how did it feel?" She swallows. "Like someone cared enough to risk me hating them." Caprio nods. "Then maybe that's what's happening now." Her lawyer opens his mouth again, instinct, duty, but she raises her hand slightly, surprising everyone, even herself. "No. Let him speak." For a second, she looks almost young. The courtroom air softens, though no one moves. Caprio's tone becomes almost tender. "Your father may not hear you anymore, Miss Dalton. But if he could, would you want him to be proud of how you've carried his name, or how you've carried yourself?" She can't answer. A single tear slides down, and she doesn't wipe it. Outside, through the high windows, the light shifts, a narrow band of morning sun landing across her hands. For the first time since walking in, Emma Dalton doesn't look invincible. She looks human. Sometimes we drive fast not because we're late, but because we're running away. The projector hums as Judge Caprio presses play. On the screen, a familiar car darts through a quiet Providence street, headlights slicing the dark. Emma Dalton folds her arms, wearing a trace of a smirk, as if she's waiting for the old routine of fines, signatures, and exits. But the judge's tone changes. "Slow it down," he says. Frame by frame, the footage crawls, her Tesla veers sharply off the main road. A blue sign flashes into view, Rhode Island Medical Center. Caprio's voice softens. "You were driving to the hospital, weren't you?" Emma doesn't answer. The courtroom is so still that the air feels heavy. "Ms. Dalton," Caprio repeats, quieter but sharper, "where were you going that night?" She exhales, a sound between a sigh and surrender. "I got a call," she says, barely audible. "They said my father stopped breathing. I wasn't thinking. I just drove." The words hang in the room like smoke. The smirk is gone, her voice trembles, not with fear but exhaustion. Someone in the back shifts, embarrassed for ever having judged her too quickly. Caprio nods once. "And when you saw the school zone?" "I didn't," she says. "I saw nothing. Just his face. Over and over." A long silence follows. Even her lawyer lowers his eyes. Caprio studies her again, but now with the compassion of a man who's watched grief disguise itself as arrogance more times than he can count. "I see," he says finally. "You didn't break the law to defy it. You broke it trying to outrun something you couldn't control." She looks up, eyes glistening. "He survived, but he's not really there. He doesn't talk. He doesn't know me." Caprio closes the file slowly. "And the other tickets? The ones after that night?" She nods, tears sliding freely now. "I kept going back to the hospital. I'd park there, sit in the car, just stay. I couldn't go home. It was too quiet." Caprio leans forward, elbows on the bench. "You've been speeding toward silence," he says softly. "But you can't outrun what's already inside you." Emma laughs under her breath, fragile, almost broken. "So what was I supposed to do? Cry? That doesn't change anything." "No," Caprio replies, "but it's the first honest thing you've said since you walked in." The room breathes again, people shifting, eyes softening, the collective hum of empathy. The woman they once thought spoiled now looks like someone standing barefoot in her own wreckage. Caprio folds his hands. "You ignored red lights, Ms. Dalton. You refused to stop when the world told you to. Maybe this," he gestures around them, "is your first real stop." She wipes her face, the gesture small but sincere. "Maybe I needed one." Outside, a siren wails faintly through the courthouse windows, somewhere, another emergency unfolding. Caprio glances toward the sound, then back to her. "Every driver thinks speed gives control," he says quietly. "But sometimes slowing down is the bravest thing a person can do." Emma nods, not as the heiress who walked in, but as someone stripped of titles and excuses. For the first time, her silence feels like peace, not defiance. Adulthood doesn't begin when you pay bills. It begins when you admit you were wrong. Judge Caprio closes the folder and looks directly at her. "Let's set the paperwork aside, Ms. Dalton. No attorneys, no corporate signatures, just you and me." Her lawyer starts to protest, but Caprio's glance silences him. "Step back, counselor." She doesn't need a translator to face herself. Emma sits straighter, then leans forward, tension tightening her shoulders. "You know," Caprio says, "most people who walk into this courtroom come asking for forgiveness. You came here to prove you didn't need it." Her lips twitch into a hollow smile. "I guess that's my problem." "No," Caprio replies, calm but firm. "Your problem is thinking strength means pretending not to hurt. But real strength begins with these 3 words, I was wrong." The pause that follows feels heavier than any verdict. Emma lowers her gaze. The room is quiet enough to hear the hum of the lights above. Finally, she says, barely audible, "I've never said that. Not once. Not to anyone. Not even to yourself." Her voice breaks. "Especially not to myself." For a long moment, no one moves. Then Caprio speaks again, gentle but unwavering. "Your father's lawyer, your lawyer, works for his company. I've seen the Dalton logo on more case files than I can count. But this one is yours. You stand alone here, and that's not a punishment, it's a privilege." The words hit like a small earthquake. She takes a breath, as if realizing what freedom really feels like, terrifying and raw. Caprio glances at her notes. "You mentioned you don't see your mother." Emma's eyes harden, then soften. "She left after the stroke. Said she couldn't handle the house, the silence, me. So you've been carrying all of it alone." She nods once. "Someone had to. Everyone expected me to." Caprio slides the folder toward her. "Read the charges aloud." Her hands tremble slightly as she unfolds the pages. Case #4892, 42 miles per hour in a school zone. Her voice cracks on the number. Case #4901, failure to stop at red light. The final words fade to a whisper. She drops the paper, eyes wet. "I hate myself for this," she says, shaking her head. "Not for the tickets, for what they stand for." Caprio's tone softens, but the authority never leaves it. "Then you've just done something extraordinary, Ms. Dalton. You've taken responsibility without anyone forcing you." She exhales, trembling. "Feels awful." "It always does," he replies. "But pain is how the truth introduces itself." A faint chuckle escapes her, half laugh, half sob. Caprio smiles slightly. "For the first time, I don't hear Thomas Dalton's daughter. I hear Emma." Her lawyer shifts, as if unsure whether to comfort or stay silent. He chooses silence. The people in the gallery lean forward, witnessing something more human than legal, a person dismantling the armor she's worn her whole life. Caprio leans back, voice lower now, almost like a benediction. "Ms. Dalton, today I'm not your judge. I'm just a witness, to the moment you stopped performing strength and started living it." The courtroom stays perfectly still. Even the sound of her quiet crying feels sacred, like proof that something long buried is finally breathing. Justice isn't always about punishment. Sometimes, it's about giving someone permission to start over. The courtroom is utterly silent. Emma's tears have dried, but her face is pale, stripped of all pretense. Judge Caprio studies her for a moment, then folds his hands on the bench. Ms. Dalton, he begins, his tone calm but resolute, after reviewing everything, the evidence, your testimony, and the circumstances, I am dismissing all fines and penalties. Her eyes widen. The room exhales, a whisper of collective surprise. But Caprio isn't finished. He leans forward slightly. However, this court does not believe in empty absolution. Your record is cleared, but your responsibility isn't. A pause, measured, deliberate. You will spend 40 hours volunteering at Rhode Island Medical Center. Specifically, in the ward where patients cannot speak. The words settle slowly. For a heartbeat, Emma doesn't understand. Then realization flickers across her face. The same place where? Yes, Caprio says quietly. Where your father is. The audience doesn't stir. The sentence is not cruel, it's precise. Measured mercy. Emma swallows hard, her voice trembling but clear. That's fair. No, Caprio replies softly. It's human. He closes the file. This courtroom is not where your life ends. It's where you get a second chance to become the person your father hoped for, and the woman the city hasn't met yet. Her eyes glisten, but there's something new in them now, resolve. Not pride, not fear. Resolve. Caprio gestures to the clerk. And one more thing. He reaches for a pen, signing the order with deliberate strokes. You'll write a letter to your father. Everything you've never said. Leave it at the hospital. Sometimes, silence hears more than words. Emma covers her mouth, nodding through tears. The sound in the room shifts, subtle sniffles, quiet awe. One of the officers in the back wipes his eyes. Caprio stands slowly, robes whispering against the bench. Court adjourned. But no one moves. Not yet. Emma rises, unsteady, removes her sunglasses from her head, and holds them for a moment before placing them in her bag, a gesture so small, yet it feels like the closing of a chapter. As she walks toward the door, people in the gallery begin to applaud. It's not loud, not jubilant, just sincere, like gratitude shared among strangers. At the threshold, she stops, turns slightly toward the judge. Their eyes meet. Thank you, she says. He gives a single nod. Make it count. The heavy courtroom doors swing open, sunlight spilling in. Her heels click softly on the marble floor, measured steps, not running anymore. Outside, the city sounds rise again, traffic, footsteps, a gull's cry. The world hasn't changed. But she has. As the doors close behind her, Judge Caprio's voice comes faintly in the narrator's tone, steady, reflective. Most people come here expecting a sentence. But sometimes, they leave with a beginning. Justice doesn't always sound like a gavel. Sometimes, it sounds like forgiveness. The final echo is the slow creak of the courtroom door settling shut, followed by silence deep enough to make the listener feel, for a moment, their own heart.